Made friends for life, and it was one big family of 200. You do YIF because I'm confused, right? And that's the beauty of a liberal arts program, because it sort of exposes your understanding so that you can take a more informed choice in the future, and you can see where your interest lies before deep diving, say, into a master's specializing in a particular field. And I think this is the essence of the Young India Fellowship, where they teach you not how, like, what the right answer is, but how to get to the right answer. They aren't looking for yes misters anymore. They are looking for people who are going to question the system.
So was there anything else that you noticed in terms of a difference between your undergraduate and your YIF experience?
Oh, yes. I think there are a couple of things actually that I'd like to mention here. Firstly, given the batch size that we had of YIF, this may sound very cliche to say, but we made friends for life, and it was one big family of 200, which at the undergrad we had like 3,000-4,000 people. So I mean, it was very difficult. You'd go by 3 years without knowing people by face or name. So I felt that there was a sort of close connection, and that like we all made to our cohort members, and there was some such sense of attachment, I would say, if not to everyone, to a great number of people in the cohort in some way or the other. So that definitely stayed. And the other thing that I speak to everyone about, and I'm really thankful for, is you're learning from stalwarts in their industry. I've taken some of the names, whether it be like Professor Mukherjee teaching you history, or it be Professor Goswami teaching you econ. You've heard of them, you've seen them. To learn from them is like a wow experience, really. So I didn't have that. Having said that, I studied at a great business school, but I didn't get that sort of I'd feel like excited attending Professor Mukherjee's class, or like Professor Goswami's class, or like I'm very passionate about politics, so Professor Gilles' course. So these things, I feel that that's something I couldn't. And given that the campus is, again, it's a tiny campus, it's 25 acres. So that sort of adds to the sense of community. And also I feel that professors are very approachable here. Having said that, given that, our class sizes are smaller, you can just reach out to them, and they're happy to meet you over a meal. They're happy to meet you after class. They're happy to give you their time. So that one-on-one is something that I don't think we had over there as well. And apart from what happens in the classroom, for me, my two places where I sort of hung out the most were the library and the sports center. Ashoka has a state-of-the-art sports center which is open 24 hours, so you can go even at midnight and work out if you like. We have all the sports facilities you name, a world-class library. So these were definitely some of the things that would stay with me for a while, and that's why there is a sense of attachment to the community and to the school.
Some students that come in with those that are considering YIF are confused between an MBA program or a master's versus a YIF, which is on paper a postgraduate diploma, so it's not a full-fledged master's. And I remember you made that choice while you were considering what to do. What words of advice would you give to someone that's deciding which is the right stream for them?
Sure. So yes, absolutely. This is something that I've heard a lot. Why do you do YIF? Because I'm confused, right? And that's the beauty of a liberal arts program, because it sort of exposes your understanding and enhances your understanding of the real world by exposing you to a range of courses. So definitely, if you talk about on your resume, the Young India Fellowship is not equivalent to a master's or an MBA program. The YIF, for those who don't know, is a postgraduate diploma in liberal studies. However, fellows do have the option of converting this to a master's in liberal arts degree by doing an additional 1 year after the fellowship, right? And they're not equivalent because I think all three that you've spoken about, the YIF, the masters, and the an MBA, they all serve different objectives. But I feel what the YIF does do is, for a lot of people who firstly may not have 100% clarity or may have worked in some industry but maybe looking for change, it exposes you to a wide range of disciplines, right? Like I mentioned, you've got public policy, philosophy, econ, history. So it opens up your mind in a way by sort of exposing you to these different disciplines so that you can take a more informed choice in the future, and you can see where your interest lies before deep diving, say, into a master's specializing in a particular field, or if you decide to go for an MBA even later on. Like for me also, my MBA is definitely on the cards. So I would not say that it's a full stop here. I will probably do it after another 3 years. Another thing that the YIF does do, which has really impacted me in a big way, is there's a major emphasis on every program, and I think on every course that is taught in the YIF. And I think this is the essence of the Young India Fellowship, where they teach you not how, like what the right answer is, but how to get to the right answer, what the rationale behind getting to the right answer is, right? So this whole critical thinking and critical writing and critical speaking, all these three skills are something that, firstly, they're an essence of a liberal arts education, and also these are skills that I feel one must sort of develop in order to thrive in today's dynamic business environment, right? Companies are they aren't looking for yes misters anymore. They are looking for people who are going to question the system. They are looking for people who are going to critically think and then evaluate. So YIF in a big way helps you do that through multiple sort of courses and the entire evaluation criteria, right? And that's what we spoke about. That's what makes the evaluation criteria unique. It's not about paper and pen exams. It's not about what the right answer is. They want to know how you approach, and hence they follow different methodologies to help you achieve that.
That's a great segue into the last question, which is around the admissions process. You have to submit a lengthy application, and then there's
absolutely
an essay, followed by an in-person interview. What were the strategies that worked for you as you went through the entire process?
So this is, Garima, where I'm going to give you credit, because I think
there's no pressure, just
no. Having said that, no, you did actually play a very instrumental role in sort of navigating me through the entire application process. But just for the viewers, I'll tell you what the application process looked like and how I approached it. So the application process is divided into 3 stages, and there are 2 stages of filtration. So the first stage is an online application form, and this online application form is designed to be a reflective process. So in this application form, a candidate is required to fill out their personal information, academic information, professional information, if they've had any work experience in the past, any non-academic engagement, which are your extracurricular activities. And then come your essay questions, which I think are critical. And, some of the questions that come to the top of my mind when I was filling out this application form there was a question centered around what matters to you most and why. Then there was another question of tell us about a challenge that you have faced and how you overcame it. There was another question on tell us about what you consider significant in your journey so far. So there was a list of 5 or 6 questions that we were required to answer in not more than 200-300 words. But for me, I don't have any advice as to how you should go about filling this, but I would just say be true to yourself. Don't try to sugarcoat anything. They are looking for, you should be the most authentic version of yourself, because that's what they are looking for. So this is what the application, it's a form that you have to fill out, and then you have a window of 1 week after filling out the application form in which your supposed to give an online writing test, and this is stage 2 of the of the admissions process. So this online writing test lasts for 1 hour, and candidates are required to write 2 short pieces for 30 minutes each. The first would require critical engagement with, a paragraph of academic nature, and the second would be a response to a situational question. So this is when your critical thinking and writing skills come into play. So they just want to evaluate that. And so that's the second phase of the admissions process. And I think based on your application form and your online writing test, the admissions team either offers you or doesn't offer you, a call for an interview. And I think, if I'm not wrong, the time between when you write your online application test to when you hear back from them is about a week, 10 days. And this was for me maybe because I was applying in this for the second deadline. I didn't apply for the first deadline. So it was a week, 10 days. And the final one is your personal interview, which happens, I think it's going to be online from now. Earlier it used to be in person, but given COVID, and I think online has worked well, so they may just continue that. So for me, the online interview was conducted by YIF alums itself. And of course, I don't remember the exact questions. It's been a year, but some of the questions that I vaguely do remember are centered around and also in your application form, you're going to be asked to write about some of the books that you've read. So, I mean, that question came up when I was asked about the books that I had read, and just to speak a little bit about that. And because I had a little, I had work experience in the F&B sector where I'd worked on my own venture. There were a few questions about that, what my learnings had been, what the challenges I had faced, during COVID, etc. And there was one question also centered around, because you have, again, the diversity at the YIF is, there's a lot of diversity in your cohort. So whether it's in terms of the socioeconomic diversity, linguistic diversity, professional diversity. So I was asked, given that, you come from a business family and you're going to be interacting with people from different backgrounds, how do you see yourself overcome some of the challenges? Because there is going to be resistance from people in your cohort. So that was a bit of a tricky situation, tricky question for me. But these were a few of the questions where they actually, and then just to put it out there, I think a candidate who's reached the interview stage, just be thorough with your application form, because all questions are going to be picked out of there. And I'm saying this based on, I've spoken to my other fellows and they felt the same thing, that just be thorough with your application. And you must be authentic, because otherwise it's going to act up in the interview. So you must be very authentic when you come to the information you're filling out in your application form, and just be thorough with that. And I think you should be good to go.
Yeah, this is, I think, very important to know that it is the application that serves as the basis for the conversation. And very often they will give you situational questions where they will ask you, how do you think others will react, or what would you do on something of that sort, which is to see whether you are able to think critically or not. And that is what they train you in during the course of the rest of the year. So very, very helpful indeed. And I think some of the areas that you covered, some pieces of information, they are very difficult to find online unless you actually go and speak to an alum, particularly around how courses are selected, how ELM projects are selected, how you build your team, what happens in the middle of those sessions, what happens if a calamity strikes, and the support you receive for placements. I think that's invaluable advice, and I am very confident that it's going to help some of the other students who are considering YIF. So thank you so much, Rom, for sharing your views in so much depth. It's very, very helpful indeed. And any parting words, anything you'd like to share before we close?
No, my pleasure, Garima. Again, thanks for having me here. And anyone looking to apply, any of your viewers, you can just share my mail ID. Happy to connect with them and answer some of the doubts that they may have. And yeah, that's it from my side.
Perfect. Thank you, and over to you, Pizan.
Thank you for being here with us today, Sean. We really appreciate that you took the time to be here and shared your journey in detail. I thank Garima as well for joining this conversation. To all the viewers watching this video, I hope that this has been helpful for all of you. Write to us at garima@evolvingming.org if you need any help or guidance, and we'll put Shyam's email in the description as well if you want to reach out to him. Reach out to us as well if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.